muri uyu mwanya twakire Dr Jean Damascene BIZIMANA umunyamabanga nshingwabikorwa wa komisiyo y'igihugu ishinzwe kurwanya jenoside. Ijambo ni iryanyu.
Nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, ndabashimiye ku mwanya mu mpaye w'ikiganiro muri iki gikorwa cyo kwibuka ku nshuro ya 27 Jenoside yakorewe Abatutsi. Nk'uko abakurambere babivuga ko umuryango utibuka uzima, kwibuka ni ngombwa kugira ngo dushobore kwiyubaka. Tugomba kwibuka amateka ya Jenoside yakorewe Abatutsi, bikadufasha kurwanya abayapfobya n'abayagoreka nkana kubera uruhare bo n'ababo bayagizemo. Niyo mpamvu ngira ngo ngaragaze bimwe mu bimenyetso byerekana imizi ya Jenoside dukwiye kumenya, kuko abayipfobya bagerageza kubihishira. Ishyaka ryose rya politike rigira manifesto rigenderaho, rikayitoza abayoboke baryo. Manifesto za Parimehutu na MRND zaranzwe n'irondabwoko ryatumye Jenoside iba mu Rwanda. Nka manifeste nimero ya 3 ya Parimehutu yemejwe muri Kongere y'Igitarama yo kuwa 21 z'ukwa gatandatu 1964 yavugaga bimwe bikurikira: ko Parimehutu yishimiye ikanashima abaparimehutu b'ukuri, ko guhera muri 59 itigeze ihwema kurangiza porogaramu yayo yo kwinjiza Gahutu mu mashuri yisumbuye, kwirinda ibyayisopanyiriza biturutse inyuma y'igihugu, ni ukuvuga impunzi, no gukora ibyangombwa byose kugira ngo yuzuze amatwara meza yo muri 59, ikazihatira kujijura abaparimehutu. Icyemezo kigahagarira aho ngaho. Ayo matwara bita meza yo muri 59 yari amatwara yo gukandamiza Abatutsi no kubica, bitangijwe n'abategetsi nk'uko Abanyarwanda bavuga ko umwere uturutse bukuru bucya wakwiriye hose. Gahunda zo gukorera igice kimwe cy'Abanyarwanda ni nako zakomeje mu zindi manifesto zakurikiye, nka manifesto ya 4 yo muri Nyakanga 69. Parimehutu mu miterere yayo ntiyatekerezaga umunyarwanda, mumaze kubyiyumvira. Na MRND yayisimbuye muri 73 nuko yakomeje. Ideoloji z'irondabwoko z'ayo mashyaka nizo mizi ya kure ya Jenoside yakorewe Abatutsi. Hagati y'1990 na 1994 MRND n'agatsiko bari bafatanyije bateguye gahunda yo gutsemba Abatutsi nk'uko bigaragazwa n'izi ngero ebyiri ngiye kubaha. Tariki ya mbere z'ukwezi kwa gatanu 1998, Yohani Kambanda wayoboye guverinoma yakoze Jenoside yemereye mu ndahiro urukiko mpanabyaha mpuzamahanga rwashyiriweho u Rwanda rwakoreraga Arusha ko guverinoma yari ayoboye yashyize mu bikorwa umugambi wo kwica Abatutsi wateguwe mbere y'ihanurwa ry'indege ya Habyarimana tariki 6 z'ukwa 4 1994. Abivuga muri aya magambo ye: Jyewe Jean Kambanda nemera ko mu mwaka wa 1994 habayeho ibitero byateguwe bigamije kwica abaturage b'Abatutsi biturutse ku mugambi wa leta wo kubarimbura. Nka Minisitiri w'Intebe nayoboye inama za guverinoma zatangaga amabwiriza ku baminisitiri, ku ngabo z'igihugu n'abayobozi bakuru yo gukora jenoside no gukurikirana uko yakorwaga, harimo kohereza muri za perefegitura ba minisitiri gukangurira abaturage guhiga umwanzi, ni ukuvuga abatutsi. Icyo ni ikirego Kambanda yemeye cya mbere. Nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, muri ubu bwirege Kambanda yemeye itegurwa rirerire ry'umugambi wo kwica abatutsi bikozwe na leta ryamaze imyaka 4 guhera muri 1990. Kambanda yakatiwe igifungo cya burundu, akaba afungiye muri gereza y'umuryango w'abibumbye mu gihugu cya Mali. Urundi rugero nuko mu byumweru 2 jenoside itangijwe muri 1994, abaturage ba Butare ntibahise bayitabira, bituma Perezida wa Repubulika Sindikubwabo Theodore na Minisitiri w'Intebe Yohani Kambanda bajya ku Gikongoro ndetse n'i Butare kuyihutisha. Ku itariki 18 z'ukwa 4 1994, Perezida Sindikubwabo yagiye muri komine Nyakizu abwira abaturage iri jambo: baturage ba Nyakizu, n'ubwa mbere mubona uruzinduko rw'umukuru w'igihugu, naje kubashyigikira no kubashimira ibikorwa byanyu muri ibi bihe bikomeye. Nintaha ndaboherereza abantu bo kubafasha gukomeza aka kazi murimo, kandi ndaza kureba nuko nabagenera igihembo mukore nko muri 59. Kuba Perezida wa Repubulika ashimira abicanyi, agashishikariza abatarabukora kubwitabira, abizeza kubibahembera, ni ikindi kimenyetso cyerekana uruhare rwa leta mu itegurwa n'ishyirwa mu bikorwa rya jenoside yakorewe abatutsi mu Rwanda. Ku itariki 19 z'ukwa 4 muri 1994, Sindikubwabo avuye i Nyakizu yakoresheje inama ikomeye mu mujyi wa Butare, akikijwe na bamwe mu baminisitiri be, avanaho Perefe Jean Baptiste Habyarimana warwanyaga jenoside, amusimbuza uw'intagondwa Sylvain Sabimana, ategeka Abanyabutare ko udashaka kwica uwiyita ntibindeba nawe yicwa. Jenoside yakorewe abatutsi itangira ityo i Butare, itangijwe n'uwari perezida w'igihugu. Sindikubwabo asaba kwica nko muri 59, yagira ngo yibutse abakuru ko uwo mwaka wa 59 ariyo ntangiriro yo kwigisha abaturage kwica abatutsi, kandi ko ababikoze ntawabihaniwe. Urugero ni Yozefu Habyarimana Gitera, wari perezida wa Prosoma, watangije ikiswe amategeko 10 y'abahutu muri Nzeri 59, na za disikuru z'urwango z'abayobozi ba Parimehutu n'indirimbo za korali yabo abanyuramatwi zabibaga urwango, ababikoze bose ntawabihaniwe. Ahubwo abakoloni barabashyigikiye, nyamara barwanya ishyaka rya Inari ryari rifite muri manifeste yaryo guharanira ubumwe bw'Abanyarwanda n'ubwigenge. Abayoboke baryo barimo n'abahutu nk'umunyamabanga mukuru Michel Rwagasana wari mwene se wabo wa Kayibanda baricwa. Mu Kuboza 1963, leta yakomeje ubukangurambaga bwo kwica abatutsi. Kayibanda na ba minisitiri be bagiye mu bufundu ku Gikongoro bakangurira iyicwa ry'abatutsi. Nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, kugira ngo byorohe, leta yari yarabanje gushyiraho itegeko ku itariki 20 z'ukwa 5 1963 riha ubudahangarwa abisha abatutsi kuva muri 59, kandi rigateganya ko abarwanyije Parimehutu bo bazahanwa. iyo niyo yabaye intangiriro yo kwimika umuco mubi wo kudahana mu Rwanda. Iyicwa ry'Abatutsi muri 1963 ryakomeye cyane ku munsi mukuru wa Noheli. Hameneka amaraso menshi, bituma ababurokotse babwita Noheli y'amaraso. Biba umuziro kuri bo no kubabo kugeza muri 1994 wo kutarya inyama kuri Noheli, kuko byabibutsaga amaraso yamenwe ku munsi hibukwa ivuka rya Yezu. Igitangaje nuko no muri 1959 iyicwa ry'Abatutsi ryatangiye ku itariki ya 1 Ugushyingo ku munsi w'abatagatifu bose. Yewe no muri 1994 jenoside yakorewe Abatutsi yatangiye mu cyumweru gitagatifu cya Pasika. Uru ruhurirane rw'iminsi mikuru n'ubwicanyi hari isomo bikwiye kuduha, kuko hari na za kiliziya zimwe nka Nyamata, Ntarama zahindutse inzibutso. Nyange yo yasenyewe ku Batutsi ku mabwiriza ya Padiri Seromba. Muri 1963 raporo nyinshi z'amahanga, inyandiko z'abanyamahanga bari mu Rwanda n'itangazamakuru mpuzamahanga zemeje ko iyicwa ry'Abatutsi ari jenoside. Urugero rumwe muri nyinshi zihari, hari umwanzuro wa guverinoma y'Ababiligi wo ku itariki 7 z'ukwa 2 1964 washoje gutya: bitewe n'ibibazo biri mu Rwanda, cyane cyane ibirego bishinjwa guverinoma y'iki gihugu, birakwiye ko tubinyujije muri ambasade yacu mu Rwanda dutanga amabwiriza Ababiligi bagomba gukurikiza arebana n'ibikorwa bibera mu Rwanda byo kumaraho Abatutsi. Ibihabera byafashe isura nini ku rwego mpuzamahanga, tukaba tugomba gukumira icyatuma Ububirigi bushobora kuzashinjwa kugira uruhare muri jenoside. Bagahagarira aho ngaho. Iri jambo jenoside rigaragara kenshi mu nyandiko zivuga ku bwicanyi bwo muri 1963, kandi bose bakabishingira ku miterere y'ubwo bwicanyi uko babubonaga. Basangaga bihuye neza n'ibiteganywa n'amasezerano mpuzamahanga agenga icyaha cya jenoside yo muri 1948. Iyicwa ry'Abatutsi rihosheje, leta yashyizeho amategeko akandamiza Abatutsi, nko kubuza impunzi kugaruka mu Rwanda, n'uwo bamenye ko yahageze agasubizwa iyo yavuye mu mahanga. Hari ukubambura imitungo yabo, kubajyana mu bice by'igihugu ku gahato bitari iwabo kugira ngo bahagirire imibereho mibi n'ibindi. Urugero ni iteka rya Perezida Kayibanda ryo ku itariki 26 z'ukwa 2 1966 ryemeza ko Abatutsi bahunze igihugu aribo babyiteye, ko ari nabo bagomba kwirengera ingaruka zabyo. Nyamara bahunze bicwa, batwikirwa nk'abatagira igihugu. Perezida Habyarimana mu byemezo bya mbere yafashe akigera ku butegetsi, nk'icyemezo yafashe ku itariki 25 z'ukwa 10 1973, amaze amezi 5 gusa ageze ku butegetsi, ni ugushimangira amabwiriza yose yashyizweho na Kayibanda yo gutoteza Abatutsi, cyane cyane yo gukumira impunzi. Nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, nubwo hari ibyo byose, nta kibi kiganza cyonyine. Hari Abanyarwanda n'abanyamahanga babirwanyije. Muri 1959 bamwe mu Bahutu bafatanyaga n'Abatutsi guhangana n'ibitero by'Abaparimehutu, bikerekana ipfundo ry'ubumwe Abanyarwanda bibonagamo iyo ubutegetsi bubi butabavangira. Muri 1963 nka Padiri de Jamburine wabaga mu Cyanika ku Gikongoro yarwanyije uko ashoboye iyicwa ry'Abatutsi. Hari benshi cyane bamukesha ubuzima, ubari mu kiruhuko cy'izabukuru mu Bubiligi. Padiri Reginald Grender wabaga i Nyamirambo nawe yarwanye ku bapfakazi n'abana b'abayoboke ba Inari bishwe muri 1963 bituma asubiye iwabo mu Bubiligi muri konje, leta imubuza kugaruka mu Rwanda bamuhoye icyo gusa. Muri 1973 hari abayobozi b'amashuri banze ko abanyeshuri b'abatutsi birukanwa nka Musenyeri Yozefu Sibomana wanze ko abaseminari b'abatutsi birukana izaza, akanakira abari barirukanwe mu yandi maseminari cyane cyane Kabgayi akabasubiza mu ishuri barimo nka nyakwigendera Padiri Dominiko Karekezi n'abandi. Icyo gihe nanone Padiri Umusaleziyani Lionel wayoboraga Eto Kicukiro na Padiri Dominiko Notom wayoboraga seminari ntoya ya Saint Paul Kigali barwanye ku banyeshuri b'abatutsi banga ko birukanwa mu mashuri. Izo ni ingero nziza zikwiye kujya zibutswa mu mateka ya Jenoside yakorewe Abatutsi, ntiduhamane ibibi gusa, bityo ku munsi nk'uyu wo kwibuka tukanashima ubutwari bw'abo bantu. Nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, urugamba rwo kubohora igihugu rutangiye muri 1990 bitewe n'ako karengane kose kari karimitswe na leta za Parmehutu na MRND, Perezida Habyarimana nawe yatangije gahunda ya Jenoside ku Batutsi irangwa no gufunga abiswe ibyitso by'inkotanyi no kwica Abatutsi henshi mu gihugu, ahereye mu duce yakomokagamo we n'abo bari bafatanyije twa Gisenyi na Ruhengeri. Kuva muri 1991 ijambo gutsembatsemba ryakwijwe mu itangazamakuru nko muri kangura yo ku itariki 9 z'ukwa kabiri 1991 aho banditse ngo mureke tumenye inkotanyi n'abashyigikiye FPR maze tubatsembatsembe. Itariki 9 z'ukwa kabiri muri 1991. Disikuru nyinshi za Habyarimana n'iz'abayobozi ba MRND zahamagariye Jenoside, nk'iyo yavugiye mu Ruhengeri ku itariki 15 z'ukwa 11 1992 avuga ko imishyikirano y'amahoro ari ibipapuro bidafite agaciro, ko igihe nikigera azakora ku ntera hamwe bakamanuka. Kuwa 22 z'ukwa 11 1992 Leo Mugesera wari umujyanama wa MRND muri politike akaba na vice perezida wayo ku Gisenyi yavugiye mu nama rusange y'abaturage yari yakoreshejwe ku Kabaya muri Ngororero aho akomoka ko Abatutsi bagomba kwicwa bagasubizwa aho yisi wabo muri Ethiopia banyujijwe muri Nyabarongo, kandi koko bahise bicwa nabi. Guhakana ubunyarwanda bw'Abatutsi ni kimwe mu byakoreshejwe muri Jenoside yakorewe Abatutsi kuva kuri Parmehutu, MRND na CDR. Mu gutegura Jenoside inzego zose zarifashishijwe. Mu basirikare hashyizweho ishyirahamwe ryitwaga Masasu ryayoborwaga na Bagosora wiyitaga Komanda Mike Tango. Ku itariki 21 z'ukwa 9 muri 1992 ubuyobozi bw'ingabo bwatangaje inyandiko igena ko Umututsi ari umwanzi w'u Rwanda. Muri uwo mwaka kandi hashinzwe ishyaka ry'intagondwa CDR. Muri 1993 andi mashyaka ashyirwamo igice cy'intagondwa cya Hutu Power. Itangazamakuru Rutwitsi ryongerwamo RTRM ku itariki 8 z'ukwa 4 muri 1993. Urubyiruko rushyirwamo intera hamwe n'impuzamugambi, bahabwa imyitozo, bigishwa kwica, abagaragaje umurava bagashyirwa mu itsinda ruharwa ryiswe Turi Hose ryajyaga gutanga ubufasha muri Jenoside ahantu henshi. Aba basore ba Turi Hose nibo bagiye gutanga umusada wo kwica mu Bisesero baturutse ku Gisenyi boherejwe na Colonel Anatole Nsengiyumva. Mbese umugambi wo gutegura no gushyira mu bikorwa jenoside yakorewe abatutsi nta rwego na rumwe rutayigiyemo, ari nayo mpamvu no mu kubaka igihugu no guhangana n'ingaruka za jenoside inzego zose zigomba kubigira ibyazo. Nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, ngana ku musozo, ubu jenoside yakorewe abatutsi yemewe ku rwego mpuzamahanga. Muri 2004 umuryango w'abibumbye washyizeho tariki ya 7 Mata nk'umunsi uhoraho wo kuyizirikana. Wongera kubishimangira muri Mata 2020 wemeza ko inyito igomba gukoreshwa ari jenoside yakorewe abatutsi. Muri 2014 inama y'umuryango w'abibumbye ishinzwe amahoro ku isi yari yashimangiye icyemezo cy'urukiko mpuzamahanga rwemeje ko jenoside yakorewe abatutsi ari ihame ridashobora kugibwaho impaka. Ibi byemezo byaciye intege abapfobya jenoside yakorewe abatutsi, bahitamo gushakisha ikinyoma cy'indi jenoside bita iya kabiri bagereka ku ngabo za FPR Inkotanyi zahagaritse jenoside yakorewe abatutsi bagamije kuziharabika. Hari naho bagera bakavuga cyangwa bakandika nk'uko tubisanga mu gitabo cya Judireva n'abandi nkawe ko interahamwe zari zigizwe n'abatutsi, ko FPR ariyo yagiye kwica abatutsi mu Bisesero. Ibyo byose bakabivuga bagamije gushakisha uko abajenosideri bagarurirwa icyizere biyambuye bahitamo gutsemba abatutsi muri jenoside. Ariko kimwe mu bibagora mu binyoma byabo ni ukwerekana uwaba yarahagaritse iyongerwa jenoside ya kabiri bahimba, cyangwa kwerekana aho umugambi wo kuyikora wacuriwe n'ibiwuranga, nk'uko Kambanda yerekanye aho umugambi wo gukora jenoside ku batutsi wakorewe n'ibyawuranze. Ikindi abapfobya jenoside yakorewe abatutsi bakora ni ukwifashisha imbuga nkoranyambaga n'itangazamakuru ribogamye bakibasira abarwanya ingengabitekerezo ya jenoside n'abagaragaza ukuri kw'amateka bashaka kubaca intege ngo ikinyoma cya jenoside ebyiri no gusebya ubuyobozi bw'u Rwanda bibe ari byo bihabwa intebe. Ntibazabigeraho. Oya, ntibazabigeraho na buke. Amateka ya jenoside yakorewe abatutsi azakomeza gusigasirwa, kandi hari ibimenyetso byivugira byerekana ko atazasibangana, nk'uko bigaragazwa n'umubare w'abarokotse jenoside bandika ibitabo by'amateka yabo ugenda wiyongera. Mu butabera, ibibazo u Rwanda rwaterwaga n'ibyemezo bibi by'urukiko mpuzamahanga byarakemutse. Ubu u Rwanda rugishwa inama zikanitabwaho. Niyo mpamvu abahamijwe jenoside nka Augustin Ngirabatware wasubirishagamo urubanza urukiko mpuzamahanga rwabitesheje agaciro ahanishwa igihano cy'imyaka 35. Bagosora na Semanza basabaga gufungurwa batarangije ibihano, nk'uko byagenze hafungurwa baruharwa barimo Nahimana Ferdinand, urukiko ntirwabibemereye. Ubushinjacyaha bw'urukiko mpuzamahanga bufatanya n'u Rwanda gushaka amakuru. Nimwe mu mpamvu zatumye Kabuga afatwa. Biratanga icyizere ko n'abagishakishwa bazafatwa. Iyo abenshi mu rubyiruko tuganira nabo bumvise aya mateka arabababaza. Ntibiyumvisha uburyo guverinoma zategetse igihugu zafashe umugambi wo kubwiriza abaturage kwica. Ntibaniyumvisha uburyo hari abakuru bapfobya bakanahakana amateka azwi n'isi yose ya jenoside yakorewe abatutsi, ndetse no mu bayipfobya ugasangamo urubyiruko, nk'uko mu bashowe muri jenoside nabwo harimo urubyiruko. Ibi ariko biha urubyiruko rw'u Rwanda imbaraga zo kurwanya ingengabitekerezo ya jenoside batizigama, bagashyigikira imiyoborere myiza u Rwanda rufite. No mu batahutse bavuye mu mashyamba ya Kongo harimo urubyiruko rwinshi. Bashima uburyo bakiriwe mu gihugu cyabo, bakambangana abakuru babafataga bunyago muri Kongo bababeshya ko nibataha bazicwa, babikoraga bagamije guhisha uruhare rwabo muri jenoside yakorewe abatutsi. Urubyiruko ruri mu mahanga rukiboshwe n'ingengabitekerezo ya jenoside rwinjijwemo n'abakuru rukwiye kumva ko ubu ngubu u Rwanda ari urwa twese, bakaza gufatanya n'abandi banyarwanda kubaka igihugu aho guhama mu icuraburindi ry'abifuza gusenya u Rwanda. Murakoze, ndabashimiye nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika.
Docteur Bizimana, merci pour votre présentation qui relate les étapes de notre histoire qui ont préparé le génocide perpétré contre les Tutsis en 1994, ainsi que tous les efforts menés depuis lors pour que plus jamais notre nation ne soit divisée. I would now like to invite the Nyundo School of Music to perform a song of remembrance.
barakoze abanyeshuri na Nyundo School of Music. Banyacyubahiro, bashyitsi bahire, tugeze mu mwanya wo kwakira ubutumwa bw'uyu munsi. Nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, uyu mwanya ni wanyu.
Inshuti z'u Rwanda bari hano, abahagarariye ibihugu bijyanye n'imiryango mpuzamahanga, inshuti nyinshi zindi zacu, mwese ariko rero niba abahakana amateka ibyabaye bitabatera isoni, yewe wowe twagirira iki ubwoba bwo guhangana nabo? What Damascene has just told us, those are facts. Facts of our history, facts about what happened and the responsibilities thereof. For those deniers, if they have no shame, why should I have fear? Ndabashimiye mwese kuba mwaje muri uyu muhango, nubwo yari inshuro ya 27 twibuka abacu, ntabwo uyu muhango tuwufata nk'ibisanzwe. Buri gihe utwibutsa byinshi bikomeye. Kugeza uyu munsi turacyabona imibiri y'abajugunywe mu byobo hirya no hino mu gihugu. Abakoze aya mahano baracyidegembya hirya no hino ku isi, ariko ntabwo twakwemera ko uburemere bw'ayo mateka buduherana. Ikindi kandi ni inshuro ya kabiri kwibuka bibaye muri iki gihe cy'icyorezo cya COVID-19. Kuba tudashobora guteranira hamwe nk'uko bisanzwe birongerera agahinda abarokotse jenoside, kandi ukwihangana kwabo no kudacika intege ari byo biduha imbaraga zo gukomeza kwiyubaka no kubaka igihugu. Turabashimira inkunga yanyu no kwihangana no kwitanga kugira ngo twese tugire ejo hazaza heza. Kongera kubaho nk'igihugu tubikesha abanyarwanda benshi bashatse kubaka u Rwanda rwiza rubabereye, bakanga kuba ibikoresho by'abayobozi babi. Amahirwe yo kubaho mu buzima bwiza bayabonye bayafatishije amaboko yombi. Iyi ni inkingi ikomeye mu bigize imbaraga zacu. Kubera izi mpamvu no mu bihe by'ibibazo bikomeye n'abifuzaga kubarangaza no kubatesha igihe, Abanyarwanda barushijeho gukomeza kunga ubumwe. Nta kindi gihe u Rwanda rwaranzwe n'ubumwe no kureba imbere nk'ubu. Aha ndavuga cyane cyane urubyiruko, ari narwo rugize umubare munini w'abaturage b'igihugu cyacu. Iyi ni nayo mpamvu abashaka kuducamo ibice no kudutesha umurongo bananiwe kandi bazakomeza kunanirwa. Ahasigaye nabasabaga ngo munyemerere mvuge mu rurimi rw'amahanga n'abashyitsi bacu bashobore gukurikirana cyangwa se abatari kumwe natwe bari hanze, ngira ngo mbwire bumve. Kwibuka challenges us to reflect on the context of the present moment, as well as the cumulative history that has led us here. Rwanda may not yet be wealthy and or fully healthy, and we have vulnerabilities and limitations like any country. But we also know how to deal with our problems. Rwandans are resilient, and we are full of purpose and hope. The immensity of what has been achieved is almost miraculous. The results are attested to by Rwandans and indeed indisputable. First, there are the tangible signs, things that we can see and feel. New buildings and roads, better hospitals and health centers, water and electricity services where they never existed before, visitors flocking to see Rwanda's unique wildlife and enjoy hospitality. But the the intangible transformations which have taken place in the hearts and minds of our people are very even more important. They allow progress to be sustained from generation to generation. Our unity and nationhood, which continues to grow, the trust we have in each other as a people and in our leaders and institutions. Positive mindsets of creativity, accountability, and self-reliance. The satisfaction of seeing Rwanda's story serve as an uplifting symbol of renewal, even, hopefully, beyond our borders. The collective self-assurance that comes from the spirit of Agaciro, which inspires everything we do. The Rwandans of today have gained a lot, which means we have something precious to defend. This requires constant vigilance, along with a commitment to introspection and honesty. Decades, even centuries of progress can be wiped away in the blink of an eye. We have seen examples in different societies around the world, no matter how advanced. I know for certain that Rwandans will always be ready to protect what we have built without hesitation or apology. Like every country, Rwanda has the right to use all legitimate and lawful means to counter attacks on our people, no question about it, and the principles of our Constitution. Whenever possible, we bring those who threaten our country's peace and security to justice. The rule of law is not up for debate. In fact, there are several trials underway in our courts involving various armed violent groups. You know, it's funny because among those who are undergoing trial, there are those who have been living outside. The issue is not what they did that they are being tried for. The issue is how they got here. Fine. If they got here the wrong way, we can still talk about that. There's no problem. can talk about how these people got here. But shouldn't we concentrate also on what is more important? That is why they are being tried in the courts of law. You know, it's not too complicated to understand that, but you can figure out for yourselves why it happens that way. Maybe we'll get to understand more as we go on. Rwandans believe that our country cannot afford to allow such dangerous games against our people to be played on our territory ever again. When the line into violence is crossed, there is also a remedy for that. Most of these actors sought international relevance by killing innocent people and threatening our economy. Unfortunately, this strategy of attention seeking has sometimes worked for them. You know, some of these people are out there in places where they have a lot of lessons for us as to what is democracy, what is freedom, what is all kinds of political and civil rights. At the same time, they embrace these people, protect them, defend them, speak for them, because they are saying these are people who want to civilize Rwanda and bring it closer to that level where we are not. Now, many times we have I'm trying to get to the bottom of the question I would ask. Why is this? Why does it happen? Maybe we'll come to it later, but I just want to tell you a few things. There are a couple of cases where we told their hosts, the hosts of these criminals, that those are actual criminals. They have either killed our people, they have stolen, they have raped, they've done all kinds of things. And we have asked them to try them. And no, they say, no, these are critics of leaders of Rwanda. These are people who are fighting for freedom, for rights of all kinds. Now, what is interesting again, it doesn't take very long before they actually realize what we are talking about, because a couple of them are now serving sentences in those countries. They're in prison for actually having done some of the things we told these people that these criminals have been known for. And in the court, these people, it's really very interesting. When they're being tried out there, in Europe, in America, in different places, still in court, even with evidence that these people have either raped or stolen money in those countries, they still say, no, it is actually President Kagame who is sending his agents and different things. They are the ones, but I can't. How can I send somebody to come and give you instructions to rape and you rape? How can I send somebody, an agent, to come and ask you to steal and you steal? So if there are cases you need to sort out with the Rwandan leaders, that's okay, but you first answer for those cases. So, and then we go back to these people, friends we talk to every day, say, well, but we told you. Still, they will not believe us, even when they have seen this. You heard the other day, when the person who was brought here, and the question is how he got here, not how he was associated with, was leading a group that was killing people here in Rwanda. You saw how others still in those countries, when somebody testified in the courts here and confirmed what they were being accused of and said they were planning it outside where they lived, recently one or two people came up and said, yes, that is true. What the other one said in the court is true. In other words, he's admitting that they are actually doing these things they are accused of, but it's like they are saying, well, but here we are protected, nothing is going to come, nothing is going to happen to us, and maybe you are also not going to be able to bring us there where you have brought that one. So you can see how disturbing this is, but yes, we fully understand the world we live in. So disgraced former officials, motivated by petty resentments, have spent years cultivating influential foreign gatekeepers with a flimsy campaign of lies. My friends, you can tell any lie about me. You are free to do so. You can pile up tons of lies. It won't change me. Absolutely not. It won't change this country to be what you want it to be. It doesn't matter how many lies. That I can promise you. When the storytellers happen to have been born in the right kind of place, that is out there, their impartiality and integrity is simply taken for granted, just by where they are born. Whatever they say against you is supposed to be taken for granted. It has nothing to do with the facts. But only has to do with the fact of where this person is born. These are the places where most of these problems come from. Falsehoods become facts, and the victims become villains. Acts of terrorism are portrayed as principled expressions of opposition and dissent, while Rwanda's response is singled out for criticism. Let me tell you this. We will be happy to be criticized for doing what we have to do and believe that we have to do against these acts against us. Are these really the people who represent the universal values we all claim to espouse? It is outright wrong. It's wrong. It can't be otherwise. We are left wondering how many bodies there have to be before we are seen as having the right to take appropriate action. Do you remember the famous interview in the old days, 1994, where people had problems of naming what was happening in Rwanda at that time? Some people are struggling to call it genocide. Well, today we have another struggle. People are struggling to call it now genocide against the Tutsis. But the problem of definition started way back in 1994. Or just simply naming it what it was. And somebody, I think a journalist asked somebody and said, because they were saying, do you now call it genocide? The other one said no. Said it is acts of genocide. Then the journalist asked, how many acts of genocide does it take to call it genocide? Do you remember that story, or that interview? So it is surprising that we still have the same discussion 27 years later. It's amazing. Meanwhile, specialists and human rights groups remain silent about the obvious dangers. Reluctant to say anything that might be seen to vindicate the Rwandan government. The cynicism and hypocrisy reflected in such bigoted narratives is breathtaking. And on our African continent, Rwanda is hardly the only target of these tactics. It is something we do not deserve and will not accept. Recently, a commission of historians appointed by the French government released a detailed report after reading official archives that had remained secret. The report shows that President Mitterrand and his closest advisors knew that a genocide against the Tutsi was being planned by their allies in Rwanda. That's what Dr. BIZIMANA said. Despite that knowledge, the president decided to continue supporting them because he believed this was necessary for France's geopolitical position. So Rwandans' lives were just pawns in geopolitical games. We welcome this report because it marks an important step toward a common understanding of what took place. It also marks the change. It shows the desire even for leaders in France to move forward with a good understanding of what happened. And we welcome this. We welcome this. We are going to have the report presented to us, and we have been informed about it, and it's a good thing. Rwanda will also have a word to say in the near future. In fact, it is maybe around the third week of this month. The findings we have in our hands, based on the work that has been done by people who are commissioned to do that, almost similar or parallel to what was being done in France. The findings go in the same direction. The important thing is to continue working together to document the truth. It's the truth. The decades-long effort by certain French officials to cover up their responsibilities has caused significant damage. History was falsified by promoting the lie of the so-called double genocide, including with the mapping report. Fraudulent court cases were launched in Europe against officers and officials. Genocide suspects were granted safe haven, and Rwanda's extradition requests refused. And this was not just in France, it's just because I was talking about the report. Even in other capitals of those developed countries. We know of cases that have gone on for close to 15 years. There are places where there are about 4 or 5 genocide suspects. Files are very clear. We talked to the country hosting them. We begged them. I said, case files are ready, they are here. Can you please give them to us for trial? The answer was no, we have no extradition treaty, we have this, we don't trust your courts, we don't trust your laws, we don't. Okay, we said, fine. We needed your trust, but you don't want to give it to us. Fine. So, can you try them in your courts of law? Because if you have a problem with our courts, you don't have problems with your courts. And then even after that request, they still have excuses for not. And it continues and goes on and goes on. But at the same time, these are people who have all kinds of blame to level against us. And you say, but why don't you do that? Are you not ashamed of protecting genocide suspects? Covering up for them for any reason? Okay, if you said you don't want me to try them, why don't you try them? It's the same people who question the use of genocide against Tutsis. And by the way, that, I think, genocide, which was, we are not the ones who invented it. This word was coined by some other people long ago, long before our own tragic situation. But somebody says, we don't want to accept that this is a genocide against the Tutsis because peacekeepers died, foreigners died, Hutus died, everybody died who was killed. So say, look, even if you thought those were your facts, the facts, how does this stop isolating this case and treat it the way it should be treated? And then you can come up with your long list of other cases to deal with. I don't doubt these people's capacity or logic or anything. No, it's something else. It's like saying, no, let's not try this guy for the crimes he committed. Let's deal with the case of how he got to this court. Let's forget about that. So we have a long way to go. So when these genocide suspects are granted safe haven and extradition requests refused, it has a direct consequence, and we have seen a massive increase in genocide denial and revisionism, which will take years to reverse. Well-known publishers release books accusing the RPF itself of having masterminded the genocide in order to take power. This is what I think Dr. BIZIMANA earlier on referred to as well. What is even more disturbing is that too many people who know better prefer to stay out of it by keeping quiet. A few years ago, a country, I remember, issued a statement to mark the commemoration of the genocide. This was really supposed to be, normally on this day, we can get a statement of solidarity or not. If you don't send us a statement of solidarity, we won't complain. Really, we don't complain. But a country issued and sent us a statement of solidarity, supposedly, but they said, well, you know, we are with you, genocide, so on and so forth. Then it started, there were more chapters about human rights violations, about governance, about in the same solidarity message. So I took time and wrote back and just placed one request, simple request. I said, you know, this day, 7th of April, is a commemoration day. And it's just one day in 365 days of the year, just one day. So I asked them, I said, can't you spare us just this one day? And then for the remaining number of days, 364, you can write anything you want. You can abuse us, insult us in any way you want for the rest of that year. I said, but spare us this day. Fortunately, I think they got the message. So they have learned to separate. But there are others who don't learn. There are others who don't learn and who maybe on the way are their statements saying the same things. But we really have space to accommodate that as well. And surely, and yet, despite a unanimous resolution by the United Nations General Assembly, there are still one or two countries which stubbornly refuse to use the phrase genocide against the Tutsi. In the whole of the General Assembly, they have that understanding and agreement except one or two. Just as they resisted using the word genocide that I told you of in 1994, until it was too late, then they came back to the word itself. But we heard that I think some people had a problem that if they called it genocide, then it puts a heavy burden on them to act, to stop it. So they were really trying to avoid the heavy burden of stopping it by refusing to call it genocide. But it's interesting how history repeats itself. So we have almost gone full circle. From 94 to now, we have a repetition of questioning words and definitions and all kinds of things. It is as though this simple recognition of what the word should be would be a reward bestowed on Rwandans in exchange for good behavior, in their view. In their view, you behave the way they want you to behave, and then they'll give you a gift, a reward of recognizing what it is. What a shame. But I don't think we cannot respond to blackmail on such matters of principle. Unfortunately, a new generation of Rwandans in the diaspora, this is a really small group, who have no personal responsibility for what happened in 1994, draw on these accounts to repackage genocide ideology as a critique of governance and human rights. And they're picking it from there or being supported by that. For us in Rwanda, we are not being held back. We move forward. There is no difference so big that a hand extended in good faith will not be reciprocated. That is how we Rwandans are, who our history has made us. But the currency of forgiveness is truth. we cannot get tired of talking about the realities we have lived. On this most solemn of days, I wish to close by thanking Rwandans for remaining dedicated to the task of unity and reconciliation. We also thank the many friends around the world who have joined with us over the years. Not only that, let me again for the story I told you earlier. While people are having problems of calling what it was genocide and so on and so forth at the United Nations, among those having problems at the time, even being the Secretary General of the day of the United Nations. You know, some amazing countries and their representatives stood up and stood out and said no. And said, this is what it is. And one of them is an African country that we shall always be proud of, a good friend of ours. One of them, represented by a man I remember called Gambari of Nigeria. Nigeria stood out and said no. Said there is a problem there and we must call it what it is. And Professor Gambari was there, and Nigeria was, no, we shall always be proud of Nigeria. And then there was Czech Republic, there was New Zealand. These countries you would not think about first when it comes to. There's a tendency to always think about these being, in some sense, countries. But so that is what we will always be indebted and thankful to some of these people across the world who really. Let me end by telling you something I remembered, and I end from that. When we were still young and going to primary school, I remember being told a story of the lion or leopard and the sheep. They told us there was a stream of water, like a river. The lion was upstream, was drinking water. And then downstream there was a sheep drinking water as well. So when the lion recognized there was a sheep nearby, and the Lord said, looked for a quick excuse to go at the sheep and have it for its meal. But they first had a conversation. So the lion called out the sheep and said, hey, you see, I'm here drinking water and you are just busy making it dirty. So you are making dirty the water I'm drinking. And the sheep humbly said, but sir, I'm downstream where I'm drinking the water from, even if I was making it that, it's not coming up to you, it is continuing. So the lion got angry, said, felt provoked. Said, how dare you? How dare you answer back to me like that? You are even abusing me. The sheep said, I'm really sorry, I didn't want to abuse you. I'm not abusing you, forgive me. Said, even the other day, actually you abused me. Then the sheep says, no, but sir, it's the first time I have come to drink water from here, so it's not me. And the lion said, you see, you're really, annoying me. If it's not you, if it is your brother, your sister, or you, who was here, how? So I said, no, sir, I am not even aware of my sister or brother that came here. I have come from so far away, it's the first time. So the lion, of course, went for the sheep. I'm telling you this story because sometimes we are treated like this story suggests. There's somebody up there saying, hey, you're even abusing me, even when you have not talked to them. As if it is not you, it is your brother, it is your mother, it's your sister, it's your what? I said, no, sir. But I think some people have been doing that to us. But let me tell you, don't ever accept to be sheep. I don't even aspire or want to be this kind of lion. I'm going to be happy being who I am that will challenge this lion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your words of truth and hope. I would now like to invite once again the young people of the Nyundo School of Music who represent the youth of Rwanda and who have taken to heart today's important message of commemoration. Thank you.
Gihugu cy'uranga butarutwa rwema rw'imihigo rudaheranwa n'ingorane marira mu gahinda k'indengakamere twarahaciye ariko turiho ijoro ryasaga n'itazacya twanze guheranwa n'agahinda turibuka ariko twiyubaka abo wavukijwe Rwanda ntibazagaruka ariko batuye imitima tugutuye turabunamira twiyubaka kandi tujya imbere.
Do we need over 1,000,000 eyes to see that genocide is a shame to the human race? We rose from the pain, from the tears, from the ashes. How much longer do we have to say never again?
Sorori baruwariraye bana b'u Rwanda dufate iya mbere turwanye ikibi duhindura mu mwijima. Abo wavukijwe Rwanda ntibazagaruka ariko batuye imitima tugutuye turabunamira twiyubaka kandi tujya imbere.
27 saisons passées à réapprendre à aimer, tâchant de faire que nos enfants aient raison d'espérer. Intambwe utera niryo shema tugukesha, tubibonamo intero idusaba inyikirizo wa mushumba dutezeho.
Uru rumuri dufite mu biganza byacu Rwanda tuzarurinda icyarungabanya cyose umwijima ntuzagaruka ukundi. Abo wavukijwe Rwanda ntibazagaruka ariko batuye imitima tugutuye turabunamira twiyubaka kandi tujya imbere. Barabana bahoze bigunze
hamwe n'abapfakazi bafite icyizere, baratwaza ubudacogora biyubaka.
abo wavukijwe Rwanda ntibazagaruka ariko batuye imitima tugutuye turabunamira twiyubaka kandi tujya imbere. Abo wavukijwe Rwanda ntibazagaruka ariko batuye imitima tugutuye
imitima tugutuye twiyubaka
kandi tujya imbere.
Excellencies, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to the conclusion of our ceremony and thank you for your support on this important occasion as we honor those we lost, those who survived, and the country that we are today.
twongere tubashimire kuba mwabanye natwe kuri uyu munsi. Ku Banyarwanda n'inshuti z'u Rwanda mwese mwadukurikiye, dukomeze kwibuka twiyubaka muri iki cyumweru cy'icyunamo. Nk'uko bisanzwe ibikorwa byo kwibuka birakomeza mu gihe cy'iminsi 100, twubahiriza amabwiriza yo kwirinda coronavirusi kuko abacu bifuza ko tubaho. Dukomeze kuba hafi abarokoze jenoside yakorewe Abatutsi, twibuke twiyubaka.
Please remain in your place as His Excellency the President and Her Excellency Madam First Lady depart. Thank you for being with us today.
abakurikira gahunda za televiziyo Rwanda tubashimire ko mwakomeje kubana natwe aho mwarimo kurikiranye umuhango wo gutangiza icyumweru cy'icyunamo ndetse n'ibindi bikorwa byo kwibuka ku nshuro ya 27 jenoside yakorewe abatutsi. Umuhango watangiriye ku rwibutso rwa Kigali ku Gisozi ukaba usorejwe ahangaha muri Kigali Arena, ari hateraniye abahagarariye ibyiciro bitandukanye n'ingeri zitandukanye z'Abanyarwanda.